Hello everyone, this is Jeremy with Coding Contraptions. In this video I'm going to do things a little differently. I'm going to be focusing more on the coding. It takes a little more thought and work to create in JavaScript, which shouldn't be a surprise. It's an actual coding language, whereas HTML and CSS are coding, but they're very linear and pretty. What you see is what you get type of languages. JavaScript, I'm gonna say it's hasn't really been challenging yet, but it's been really interesting, and I feel like I have more to talk about. So anyway, with that, I'm going to go ahead and get to it. So here's the page that I've created so far as the menu. I've shown this all before. And I've created this little red dot, and then there's these Cartesian coordinates that I've set up. It's something very basic in physics. A lot of physics uses a 2D Cartesian coordinate system to show what's going on. And this background here, this whole big white space is called a canvas. And so I'm going to be talking about canvas and how to set it up and then how to get this stuff on there. So let's take a look at the code. So here it's in the input vector division, and I have input vectors as the title and then 3 breaks to give some space, and then canvas ID canvas. That's what actually creates the initial background, which starts fairly small. I did make it bigger using canvas height and canvas width. It is set at a default, I think, of 300 and 200 pixels. Anyway, it has some defaults that it uses. So if you look at the actual canvas here, I used an ID tag at the top to make the background white. Otherwise, it doesn't show up at all. And then I create a little space on the left, 5% margin to the left. So after that was all set up, I came down and created the script. And this is where you start using JavaScript. So I create a constant of canvas equals document.get element by ID canvas. So it's just going up here and grabbing this canvas right here. And that's the ID that it uses to match that. So then you have to create a context. The context is where all the work is done. So this creates basically the background, and this creates what you do within that background. There's other things you can do. Everything I'm going to be working on is going to be in 2 dimensions. You can use other things in there. I'm not going to talk about that. That may be for another video, another time, if I need to do something in a different, maybe a 3rd dimension or something else I'm going to work on, then I'll go into that direction. But right now I just need 2 dimensions. So this I talked about. I changed the background, so as you can see, this white space is fairly big. I did create it 1000 by 1000, mostly for the ease of the math for now, just as I'm getting my feet wet with this. And so after that, I wanted to go ahead and create some lines, because that's what all those Cartesian coordinates are, just different lines. You got 2 lines there, and then you got all these little lines going right there. And so I split it up into each direction into 5 sections. There's section 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that was my goal for the day, and I accomplished it. There was one hiccup in particular that took some time, but if you start here, you have to begin your path, and I set the stroke style to black. You can set the lines to any color you want. This is using the RGBA. Got your 3 main colors, and then the 1 makes it solid. You can make it transparent as well. So then I decided to go ahead and use, I moved to 0, 500. So from this point up here is 0, 0. This point here is 0, 1000, 1000, 1000. And then top right here is 1000, 0, X and Y coordinates. So I moved to 0, 500, which would be right there. Then after that, I used a for loop to go ahead and create my little lines. So I went ahead and it starts at 0. I use I as in this particular one, I represents the X coordinates. It starts at 0, goes up by 100, and then when it gets over 1000, then it stops. So that actually went down, and it follows through and creates each individual little line. So it goes to 0, stops, you're at 0, 500 there. Then it goes from 0 to 520. So it goes up 20 pixels. And 0, 480 goes down beneath that main line another 20 pixels, then goes back up to the main line again. And it repeats. It just goes, it creates that line, moves over, creates that line, moves over. It's just a simple thing, goes all the way over to there. Did the same thing here, going up and down. And then is the last thing, even though you do all of that initial work to get things set up, it won't draw until you actually do CTX stroke. Let me go and take that out just to display that real quick. So refresh this. Everything disappears. So you have to do this. It's the way I liked how one person worded it. They looked at the canvas as an actual piece of art, and that you have to stroke the line. You actually have to draw the line. This says where the lines are at, and this actually draws the lines. So this is actually just for a little red rectangle, which I use as a reference to make sure the canvas is working initially, and that's the color, and again solid, RGBA, it's a fill style. And this actually causes the rectangle to be filled. So that sets the color, this actually fills it in. So that's pretty much it for today. I'm going to continue working on this. I have quite a bit of room to go. So I did create the coordinates, but now I have to go ahead and create an input underneath for the vectors, and then have those vectors show up here as individual lines. So that's going to be the next step, probably the input initially, and then I'll work on getting lines in place. So anyway, I hope you're all doing great. I'll talk to you later.